Dad was born in River Bourgeois, Cape Breton, and he served quite a few years in the Royal Canadian Air Force and in the Second World War. He was an upper tail gunner in a Lancaster. My mother was also in the Second World War, and they got married, and Dad, after the war, he became an air traffic controller and was stationed in St. John, then Moncton, and then moved to Enfield.
When he arrived, Jack Garden lived behind the house he bought, and the two of them, along with myself at times, decided, what they'd like to do for the community. And the big thing was that they wanted some facilities because the young people didn't have much to go on except for playing in the old hay fields and so on.
He got to know some key people involved in sports in Enfield, and that was, of course, Jack Garden and Ron Smith. And by the time we came to Enfield, there were an awful lot of meetings between the three of them. And it was obvious to me that, there's going to be a lot happening with regard to the different sports that we were involved in. So that was a very short while after we arrived in Enfield. We knew there was going to be big things happening with regard to sports.
From then, they basically, they have like minds. They wanted to get sports going within the communities. Next thing you know, there was a ball field being built. The Legion ball field up by the Enfield Legion was being manicured more. There was a rink built in behind the St. Bernard's Community Hall. Then there was a football field put in the outfield of the Legion, the ball diamond. Things just went to another level, big time, within the community.
In 1961, I believe it was, Dad, Jack, and Smitty, Ron Smith, I always call him Smitty, they were the kingpins in beginning the construction of one of the best Little League ball fields in Nova Scotia. And that was located between the fire hall in Enfield and the church, the St. Bernard's Church. It was quite a field. It was a grassed-in field. There were wooden fence all around the field, wooden dugouts, scoreboard. There was stands for the fans. And there was an awful lot of baseball played on that field for many years.
Don was basically a catalyst for a lot of things that went on, not only in Enfield, but also within the communities of East HANTS. And the example that I use the most is the football team from the Enfield Red Bombers from 1962. And that picture, there's a picture of that team, and it has 32 kids. 32 kids on one team between Enfield and Lance and Elmsdale. And that is a testament to the building power of what that was Don's idea, that particular one.
I'm not sure exactly how that started, but I think Dad just saw we had the kids in his family and the neighbors all had an interest, playing out in the backyard a lot, and sometimes we're even playing tackle out there, and he thought, gee whiz, these kids are going to get hurt. Maybe we'll form an organized ball team. So what he did is he talked to Bill Spur, who was the physical education teacher at East HANTS. Bill agreed to take on coaching duties for a half-pint football team in Enfield. So Dad, Smitty, and Jack, they got together and they put uprights in the outside, the back part of the right field for the Enfield Legion ball field, and they lined the field and created a football field. With regard to hockey, in 1960 or 61, I'm not sure of the exact year, but Dad was heavily involved in building, along with Jack and Smitty and, of course, other people in the community, building that outdoor rink next to the St. Bernard's Church in Enfield. And it was quite a facility. It was an outdoor rink with boards 4 feet high all around. At the end, there was wire meshing to prevent the puck from going over the boards and hitting the church windows. There was lights strung across the rink at various locations, and I remember pigtails coming down, and for reflectors, they used aluminum pie plates. And the reason they did that is they were quite light. Couldn't use metal ones because it would be too much weight for the wires going across the rink. And there was stands on one side of the rink also.
In 1967, Don and I went to a meeting in Windsor, which was to organize a junior hockey league between Halifax, Dartmouth, Berwick, Kentfall, and ourselves. So that's when the Penguins started. We went to Don's house and we sat there a couple of hours, decided what to call the team, the junior team, and it was East Hants Penguins. We decided on because the Penguins entered the NHL in '67, and no one was using that name, so.
He was president of various midget and bantam hockey teams, and of course, most notably, he was the president of the East Hants Penguins for 3 years, the junior B team, and of course, the special year was the '68-'69 year that they won the championship. In the playoffs, we handily defeated Windsor and then went on to play Truro. And every game against Truro was close. I think we defeated them 4-1, but the stands were packed. In Truro, there was probably 2,000 people at each game. And in East Hants, a rink that only would hold or seat about 200-300 people, we had 1,000 to 1,500. It was packed and loud, very loud and noisy. And people, kids that were hanging from the rafters, it was something else. Everybody was talking about when's the next game, who do you think's gonna win, It was fantastic, and it was a year I will never forget.
This East Hants team, the East Hants Junior Penguins, really created a buzz throughout the entire community. If you went to high school at that time, which I did, and the talk all around the high school was all about the East Hants Penguins.
And the fans were tremendous, the community was tremendous. They supported us, and we had up to over 1,000 people in the rink each game, probably up to 1,500. And I think the last game we had well over 1,800 fans.
What you have to realize about Don Boyd is that he is pervasive with all the big decisions in minor sports in the 60s, back here in East Hants.
The other thing that Dad had a bit of involvement in was the East Hants swimming pool, the first one that opened. And I'm not even sure of the year, but Dad was one of the founding members in that committee that organized and constructed that pool. So Dad was also involved in, he was one of the founding members of the East Hants Minor Hockey Association. In 1963, I think is when that was formed. So Dad was an active member on that group.
Don really enjoyed working with the youth and seeing the Penguin name used by the East Hants Minor Hockey today.
I think it's only fitting to mention that Dad is being inducted in the Hall of Fame as a builder. That's a wonderful thing, but he couldn't have done it without the help of Ron Smith and Jack Garden and some of the other people in Enfield that were good at contributing and helping out. But there is one person that deserves a lot of credit, and that's my mother. My mother was a backbone in the family. She did so much for my dad. She looked after the family when Dad wasn't able to. She was at all the ball games and the hockey games, football games she could go to. If she couldn't be there, well, there was a good reason for it, that's for sure. And there were many times that players ended up staying at my mom's and dad's place overnight. The mom would be up early in the morning and feed them and send them off. So she's a wonderful person, but I got to say that if it hadn't been for Mom, Dad would not be inducted in this Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate the family of Don Boyd for being elected to the Sports Hall of Fame, because he really deserves it, and along with his wife. And I know the family are very proud, and I am very proud that he's elected. He sure deserved it. Thank you.
2020 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, Don Boyd.